Hey guys, this is Justin from RWS CrossFit, back with part 2 of our Food as Fuel series. Note the awesome flames, I just really want to draw more attention to that. So, in the last video I talked a bit about what the fuck do I eat. In this video I'm going to talk a little bit about why. I am not a molecular biologist, I am not qualified to talk in great depth about the nitty-gritty and all the little processes about what exactly is going on within the body. I know the broad strokes. I will tell you some of the broad strokes. So basically this is about giving you just enough information to make informed decisions and not talk out of your ass when someone asks you, hey, what the fuck do I eat? So we're going to talk a bit about macronutrients and calories. There is a very outdated school of thought that basically relies on Newton's first law of thermodynamics to explain weight loss. It doesn't really work, and that is if calories in are greater than calories out, you're going to get fat. Vice versa, if your calories out are greater than calories in, you will get leaner. Technically that is true, however there is a lot more to it than just heat in versus heat out, or rather there are a lot of confounding factors, a lot of different variables that influence calories in versus calories out over and above just how much you move versus how much you're eating. So that's primarily predicated on the different hormonal responses to the food that you consume. I've got a few of them written up right here. Insulin and glucagon, which act in opposition to one another, and leptin and ghrelin, which also act in opposition to one another. The Cliff Notes version, as far as these four go, insulin makes you store energy, and it makes your blood sugar go down, because it's secreted in response to when your blood sugar is elevated. Glucagon does the exact opposite. When your blood sugar is low, you secrete glucagon, it mobilizes energy from your cells, and raises your blood sugar in response to that. These two hormones work in concert to make sure your blood sugar stays relatively stable, assuming everything is working correctly. Leptin and ghrelin, those are your hunger hormones. Leptin is secreted in response to when you eat a lot of food, or any amount of food really, and it tells you to stop. Ghrelin is released when you don't eat food, and it tells you to start eating. That's the grumbly and your tumbly. So leptin and ghrelin, insulin, glucagon, complementary hormones that help maintain homeostasis. Your body's very good at that, at least it should be. Anyway, so talking about the macronutrients that I kind of glossed over in the what the fuck do I eat. First we have protein. This is, for our purposes, for anyone that trains hard, this is your single most important macronutrient. They're all important, but protein is our favorite. Protein is solely responsible for cellular repair. General recommendation within the strength training community is that you should have 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day from animal sources. So any protein that does not come from an animal or an animal source is necessarily inferior to any protein that does come from an animal source. So animal sources could be meat, eggs, dairy, really that's pretty much it. Dairy, we've got whey, casein, all those things kind of fall under that umbrella. Cheese, milk, you know what I mean? Meat and eggs, I treat them essentially the same. An egg is really a chicken that will never be. So they are whole foods. Your body's going to process them a lot more effectively than something that has been pre-processed, like a supplement. A protein supplement, they're great if you can't meet your protein quota from whole foods, but your body isn't going to process it quite as well. A whole food will take longer to break down. It's going to result in more of these good, stop eating hormones being secreted, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's protein. Without protein, you will die. It's that simple. Your immune system runs on protein. Muscular repair is powered by your immune system. Do the math. Without sufficient protein, you will get sick for one thing. You will not build muscle. You will not lean out. Pretty much everything good requires a significant intake of protein. So, anyway, that's that. Next up, we have carbohydrates. So, carbs are our high-intensity fuel. My recommendation is for the bulk of your carbohydrates to be somewhere within an hour of your workout. And this is assuming that you're working out intensely. Something where your muscles are going to be burning at some point in time. That's your indicator that you're utilizing those energy pathways that are heavily drawing on your glycogen storage. If you're just lifting something once and then waiting like 5 minutes and then lifting something again, you're not tapping into that. You're not earning your carbs. Next up, we have fat. Fat is your low intensity fuel. That's your body's default pretty much anytime you're not busting your ass. And by tailoring what you eat and when and all that sort of thing, by eating a protein-heavy breakfast, things like that, we can more predominantly jumpstart that fat burning and kind of steer it more towards that being the default. If you're only eating carbs all the time, your body's going to adapt to that. If you eat primarily fat all the time, your body's going to adapt to that. You burn what you eat. So remember that. Anyway, a good thing to remember as far as why all this stuff works, when your blood sugar is elevated for any significant length of time, that's going to tell your body to store fat. Similarly, if you're only eating dietary fat, but you're eating a lot more than you need to recover your body, that's also by different mechanisms, that's going to tell your body to store fat as well. So real quick, just to talk about which of these macronutrients triggers which of these hormones. Protein triggers insulin and glucagon, so they kind of cancel each other out. Carbohydrates do not trigger a glucagon response, they trigger an insulin response, and they elevate your blood sugar. So if you're not using them, you will store them, and you will store everything that you're eating with them as fat. So carbs are good when you need them, protein is good always. Fat triggers a whole bunch of hormones that tells you that you're full. Protein doesn't do that as much, but it does give you the sensation of feeling full by just mechanically filling up your stomach. Water and fiber both do the same thing. So if you want to eat not a whole lot of calories and still feel full, meat and vegetables. That's what I was talking about earlier. Carbs don't really set off that same cascade of satiety signals. It sets off some, but it's kind of delayed. So if you want to get full, carbs are not really going to be the answer. Fiber, protein, water, and fat, that's the money right there. Just a quick review. Where you get each of these macronutrients. Protein is going to come from meat. Carbohydrates is going to come from vegetables, and it's also going to come from fruit and starchy tubers. Fat is going to come, 1, from meat, and 2, from actually separately eating fat by snacking on macadamia nuts, for instance, or sauteing vegetables in grass-fed butter, something like that, or in coconut oil. So that's how you can increase your intake of good dietary fat. So that's it for macronutrients and calories. In the next video, we will talk about micronutrients and supplementation.